Hello, welcome to today's video. We are on page 7 of the Alfred's book 4, and today's song is called Alouette. Before we start talking about the Alouette song, we need to go back to page 6. So let's go to page 6 for just a moment, introducing dotted quarter notes. So as we can see, the dotted quarter note is a quarter note with a dot on it. And there's a little illustration here with the dog being stretched out. And so exactly that's what it means. The quarter note becomes a longer value. See, it says the dot increases the length of a note by 1/2 of its value. So the way we can see this is comparing it to the dotted half note. All right, so the dotted half note is equal to a half note tied to a quarter. And so as we can see here, half note, quarter, dotted half note, that's 3 beats. And then of course when we clap that rhythm, it's going to be clapped 1, 2, 3. And so that's how we clap the dotted half note. But for the dotted quarter note, well, it's a little bit different. It says here it is equal to a quarter note tied to an eighth note. So we really can't do a full clap for this one here. It's going to be kind of 1.5 claps. So it's not a full, it's one clap and then half of a clap. 1.5 beats. Or another way you can think about this dotted quarter note is 3 eighth notes. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that here. If we were to think about this quarter note, we have 1, and so this is a quarter note, and 2. So these are 2 eighth notes right here, and they belong to this quarter note. And then we have another eighth note right there, and here are the 3 eighth notes that belong inside of a dotted quarter note. So when you clap 3 eighth notes, you can think about it that way. You can clap 1, 2, 3, or if you think about it another way, let's take a look further down on the page. Notice here, it says that we have a quarter note tied to 2 eighth notes. Or excuse me, we have quarter note and 2 eighth notes. But the quarter note is tied to only the first eighth note. So it says here that you're going to clap the following rhythm. You clap once for each note, counting aloud. And the way you do that is 1, 2, 1, 2, and. Or if you want, you can say the and for this quarter note, so you can get ready to say and for the 2. 1 and 2 and. And so the way you clap that is going to be 1, 2, and. And notice that I shook for 2. 1, 2, and. If you want to do the and for the 1, you can say 1 and 2 and. 1, 2, and. And so the and of the eighth note for the second beat, you're going to be clapping, and of course the 1 for the previous. And notice that when you go back to that page, we can also notate it either with a quarter note tied to an eighth and another eighth, or we can just make it a dotted quarter note. So the count is going to be 1, 2, and. 1, 2, and. Shake for 2 because it's kind of like the tie. 1, 2, and. 1, 2, and. 1, 2, and. Let's go ahead and practice clapping this rhythm. 1, 2, and. Don't forget to shake for 2. 1, 2, and 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 1, 2, and. If you want to practice playing this on the piano, go ahead and place your right hand in C position. Let's practice it on C. And let's go ahead and say the first rhythm here. So we have 1, 2, and. And so we have that quarter with the 2 eighth notes. But then tie that quarter note to the first eighth note, hold it or tie it, and then just play 2 times. 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, 2, and. You can even work on other notes. 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, 2, and. Be very proficient with this rhythm. Understand it both with clapping and counting, and then with playing, and then you will be able to get a good understanding of how to play Alouette on page 7. Let's go ahead and listen to Alouette. Here we go. In C position. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you saw there at the very beginning, there was the dotted quarter eighth rhythm already being featured. And so the way we clap and count this one here, let's go ahead and clap and count just the right hand for that first system. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, and 2, and 3, 4. The quarter rest for the right hand is definitely a quarter rest, but notice that the slur goes to the bass clef. So the melody actually goes from C to G, so that's why there's a slur, and you're going to actually slur from C to G. And then the next measure, number 3, so once again, 1, 2, and 3, 4. That is going to be repeated again on the third system. Let's go ahead and review the third system. Right there, the last measure into the last system. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, and 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, and 2, and 3, 4. Before you get both hands together, make sure that you practice the right hand separately with the dotted quarter eighth rhythm. Let's do the note names. C, D, E, E, D, C, D, E, C, rest. D, C, D, E, E, D, C, D, E, C, 2. Okay, so notice that the rhythm is a little bit longer because of the dotted quarter. Let's go ahead and count now. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, and 2, and 3, rest. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, and 2, and 3, 4. Okay, so let's go ahead now and try both hands together for the first system here. Notice there is a fifth, and then second, third, G. This G is going to become part of the melody, slurred from C to G. Let's go ahead and go to that point there from the beginning. 1, 2, dotted quarter, and eighth, go. 1, 2, and 3, repeated legato here, lift. 1, and 2, and lift, left hand, together. Now notice before you lift the right hand, do lift the left hand so that you can slur from C to G. So there should be a slur between the third and G, but let's go ahead and take a look at the music as we talk about this. So when we have our music here, there should be a lift between these two, but the slur happens between these two. And so the way that works is you have it. So you lift a little bit early with this third here in the left hand, but keep it down so that you slur from C to G. Just like that. Let's look at that again. Notice how I slurred from C to G. Very good. And then once again, the same rhythm as the first measure, but a softer dynamic. Repeated legato, lift. Okay, so make sure that you do have those mixed articulations and that the dynamics are being contrasted as it's asking for. Notice the next two measures. These are just regular straight eighth notes with quarters. We have a crescendo and a decrescendo. So make sure that happens very cleanly and very clearly. Starting at piano, I'd say we work our way up to mezzo forte or so. And it says to decrescendo back to the piano. But all of a sudden, boom, on the third system, forte. This is a subito forte, which means suddenly you are loud again. And these notes, quarter notes, descending like a pentascale, all accented, non-legato. Back to the original tune from the beginning. Let's do that dotted quarter eighth rhythm. 1, 2, and 3, 4, lift. 1 and 2 and 3, lift here for slur, lift, piano. And 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So maintaining the legato where it's supposed to be in the right hand, lifting after the slurs and, but mostly non-legato for the left. Okay, so I look forward to hearing your performance of this music. Don't forget the contrasting dynamics, the mixed articulations, and there is just one tempo, which is allegro. And we will see you at next lesson.